Good. Good morning and welcome to Not Your Daughter's Yoga on, I believe it's Tuesday, November 30th, 2021. We're going to start, as always, on our mat, and you can lie down and take up all the space you like. So gently make your way down onto your back. And once you're down, just pick up your hips ever so slightly off the mat. Settle them back down, making sure you have lots of room for the lower back. You could stretch out nice and long, or if you prefer, you could plant your feet a little wider than hip width, just below your hips, and then allow your knees to relax in towards each other. And that way your knees can completely support each other and you can completely rest. There's no need to hold anything up. And once you've found a comfortable position on your mat, you can begin by taking some of those really nice big reset breaths. So we're coming into our space on our mat, and we know that this is a safe space to take care of ourselves, and everything else that isn't on the mat can wait. It can wait. So we're going to take some big inhales, and as we exhale, I want you to let go. Let go of the busyness, let go of the expectations, just let it all go. So big inhale, filling the lungs from the bottom, filling them up like big oxygen tanks, picturing it as you're filling up. Hold it for just a moment at the top and sigh it out. Release. Nice release. Again, inhale. Big, smooth breath in, slowly, slowly filling until you can't take any more breath in, holding for a moment, sigh, and release. Feel your body soften in response to that. One more time. Inhale, big breath. Holding it for just a moment. And last one, sigh it out. Your body is soft and warm and passive. And you can take this opportunity to start to generate your practice breath with smooth inhale through the nose. Holding for a moment, smooth exhale through the nose. So inhale, 2, 3, 4, pause, exhale, 2, 3, 4, pause. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, pause, exhale, 2, 3, 4, pause. Find the rhythm that works for you and your breath. So that could be a little slower or a little faster than what I've cued. Just find a sustainable rhythm. Smooth inhale, smooth exhale. If you like, you could picture the breath as you exhale swirling at the back of your throat, and that will produce a hissing sound. We call that Ujjayi breath. Sort of keeps energy and heat in. And it's a traditional part of yoga, but if it's not working for you, then there's no obligation to breathe that way. Just as long as your breath is steady and smooth. So keep your mind focused on generating that breath. Few more rounds of breath, just really focusing in on nothing else but getting that rhythm going. And now that you've got your breath flowing nicely, you can begin to invite movement back into your body. So we'll just start with a little wiggling of the toes. Hello, toes. And then you can point and flex your feet a few times. You might want to pick them up off the mat. Pointing and flexing. And circle the ankles. Maybe a little snap, crackle, pop action. That's okay. And circle them the other way. And then you can hug your knees up toward your chest, taking the right knee in the direction of the right armpit, left knee in the direction of the left armpit, hugging the knees in tightly. And if you like, you could put up your head and hug your head in the direction of your knees, getting tight into a tiny little ball. And then release, and you can stretch out and get long. You can wiggle your fingers, ball the hands up into fists, and then release. And again, fists and release. And then when you're feeling ready, gently roll over onto your side and just pause there for a few breaths, gathering your bearings, keeping that breath nice and smooth. And then gently bring yourself up to a seated position. Your choice. You could sit crisscross applesauce, as they say in the primary schools, or you could stretch your legs out in front of you. You can scoop the flesh out from under the top of your thigh bones so that those bones are making contact with your mat. Sitting up nice and tall, shoulders are broad, down away from the ears, chin up, imagining that invisible thread pulling you straight up. Your spine is long. Take an inhale. On your exhale, duck your chin to your chest. And then inhale, come back up through center and gaze up. Exhale, chin down to chest. Inhale, looking up, and of course being gentle, minding your own range of movement. And exhale, chin comes back down to chest. And then you can take some nice gentle circles with the head and neck. Taking it very slow and pausing anywhere where you feel like you benefit from a little extra attention. And once it's feeling good on one side, then you can reverse the motion. Again, taking it nice and slow. Pausing anywhere where you need a little extra TLC. And you can bring your head back up to center. We'll bring the left hand down to the mat. So I will mirror you. Walk that left hand out to the side, stretching the right arm up and over, getting really long through the right side of the body. Make sure that your right sits bone is still staying in contact with the mat. If it's rolling up, then come out of your twist a little bit. So hip going down, arm going up, stretching in opposite directions. Make it nice and dynamic. Relax the head and neck. Nice smooth breaths. And on your exhale, coming upward, this time we'll take the right hand down, walk it out to the side, stretching up and over. And then coming back up to center, bring your arms in front of you. And then we're just going to take some nice big slow circles with the arms going forward. Again, not being alarmed if you're feeling a little snap, crackle, pop. That's okay. And of course, minding your own range of movement. And then you can reverse. Nice big circles, very slow. Inhale on the up, exhale on the down. And now we can bring our arms into a T. You can take your left arm underneath your right. Hands can come to shoulders or continue for eagle arms, your choice. Push the elbows up, duck the head forward and down, round into the upper spine and breathe into the space between your shoulder blades. Really big breaths here. And we can open the arms wide. This time we'll bring right arm under left. Again, eagle arms, or hands to shoulders, pushing the elbows up, ducking the head forward and down. Breathe into that space, really rounding the upper spine. And again, you can open your arms. I'm going to bring our fingertips down in front of us. So you could do this with your legs outstretched or legs crossed. We're just going to gently walk the fingers forward until we start to feel some engagement in the hips. So you usually don't have to come far forward at all. Just stopping where that sensation begins, greeting it, breathing into it. You can walk the fingertips back, bring the hands by the sides. I'm going to rock back onto the tailbone and bring the shins parallel to the ground. If you like, pick up the arms for boat pose. Nice balance here. Keep the chest broad and you're breathing it forward so that you're not sort of slumping into your boat, but you're very broad and your abs are engaged. Keep the breath moving nice and steady here. One more breath. Good. And then when you come down, cross the legs the opposite way. And again, walk the hands forward until you start to feel engagement in the hips. Greet it, breathe into it. Last breath. And then gently coming upright, we'll bring the legs around the side. Come on to hands and knees. So toes are untucked. Your lower belly is engaged so that the small of your back is really flattened out. Wrists are below shoulders. Unless your wrists are feeling touchy today, in that case, you could set your wrists slightly further forward. Knees are below hips. On an inhale, drop the belly, raise the hips, and look forward. Think about the neck getting long rather than looking up. Just think long neck. Exhale, reverse the motion. Drop the hips and head. Push up between the shoulder blades, really rounding the spine. Inhale, belly down, neck long, coming into cow. Exhale, pushing up between the shoulder blades, coming into cat. Inhale through to cow, taking it nice and slow, moving with your breath. Coming to cat, and take 3 more rounds with your breath. If you'd like to add in lateral movement, wiggling, looking over the shoulder, add in whatever feels good. Take it nice and slow. Just enjoy that feeling of spinal movement. And when you've finished your third round of cat and cow, just come back to a neutral tabletop position. So we're going to take a bird dog here. So you can pick up your right knee and crunch it in toward your abdomen. So this is your option number one. Option two, you can add in the left arm if you like. So also start with that crunched in. So inhale in, exhale, extend long. Like I said, the arm's just an option, doesn't have to be here. Inhale it in, extend long. Inhale in, extend long. One more time. Inhale it in, extend it long, and hold for a breath. So energetic fingers and toes here, holding on your exhale. Hand and knee can come down, and we'll set up for the other side. So again, we'll start with the knee in. If you want to add in the arm, get your balance going. Starting crunched in. Inhale, stretched in, or sorry, exhale, extend. Sorry. Inhale, crunch it in. Exhale, extend it long. Inhale, crunch in. Exhale, extend long. One more time. Inhale it in. Exhale, extend it and hold for a breath. And then hand and knee can come down to the ground again. Let's do a little hip work here. So we're going to lift the right knee and bring it out to the side. Your very elegant dog at a fire hydrant, and just take circles with your leg, getting into the hip joint. Just take it slow, respecting your range of movement. And when it's feeling all right on one side, just take the movement in the opposite direction. And you can bring the right knee down and we'll take it over onto the left. So your choice which way you want to go first. But try and get that leg out to the side. Nice big slow movement. Coordinate it with your breath. And again, when it's feeling like you're good going one way, and take it the other way. Good. One more breath. And you can bring the knee down. So we're going to leave our knees where they are. Tuck your toes under, and then walk your hands forward, extending your chest toward the ground. Relax the head and neck. So this is our variation of downward facing dog. We can also take this a little further. So set the hands a little further forward and then slide your chest in the direction of the ground. Maybe it comes down. Maybe you can almost get your chin down. So this is what we call puppy dog. So you can breathe into this. And then we'll bring the hands back in and find our modification for downward dog. So still a dog, but not a puppy dog. So just to show you the difference between those, what I want you to really focus on is keeping your hands strong. So your fingers are splayed out and you're pressing down with the base of each one of your fingers that's in your palm. You really want to make strong contact with the mat there. So you can stay here in our modified downward facing dog. If you'd like to come up onto your feet, tuck the toes under, bring the hips up and back. Find your version of downward facing dog, and then nice big slow breaths. If you're on your feet, you could pedal the legs out. One more breath. Exhale, sigh it out, and then make your way to the top of your mat. So we'll roll up to stand, standing nice and tall. Feet are narrow hip width apart. The abdomen is engaged, so we're standing really tall. Shoulders are broad, and hands are down at the side for Mountain Tadasana, just standing tall. Inhale the arms up overhead. If you like, you could gaze up toward the fingertips. Exhale, swan dive, keeping a soft bend in the knees, coming all the way down. Fingertips come down to the mat. You can bring your hands onto your shins. Inhale, come halfway up. Exhale, forward fold. Hands come down to the mat, and we're going to step the feet all the way to the back of the mat. Bring the knees down and untuck the toes. So you make sure that your hands are shoulder width apart, and you've got a nice long line from your shoulders all the way back to your knees. So if you feel like your bum is sticking out a little, tuck it down. Take a nice big inhale. On your exhale, squeeze your elbows in toward your side and lower as slowly as you can. Every movement counts. So bringing it down really slow, hips, belly, chest, and then finally forehead comes down. So you can zip your legs together. Toes are pointed. Inhale, breathe up the chest and neck, and then finally the head comes up last. Exhale, breathe it down. So again, chest, neck, and then forehead. Forehead is always the last. So inhale it again. So chest comes up, neck comes up, head. Exhale it down. Let's do that one more time. Inhale, chest, neck, and finally head up. We'll stay here for a breath. We can levitate those palms off the mat. Lift is coming from the lower back. Exhale, everything comes down. Toes turn under, push back up onto the knees, and then your choice, kneeling downward dog or on the feet. Find the one that works for you at this moment in time. Just because you normally take your downward facing dog one way or the other, doesn't mean you always have to do it that way. Listen to your body and don't be afraid to try new things. So nice deep breaths here, strong hands. It really is the secret here, is keeping the hands strong, and then your wrists are protected. Nice big breaths. One more breath. And then we're going to make our way again to the top of the mat, meeting up, standing. Good. So we're going to bring our toes together this time, and the heels stay out a little wider. So we're coming into a pigeon-toed stance. Again, standing nice and tall to begin. Inhale, arms come up. You may gaze up if you wish. Exhale, sitting down. You can part the arms, sit your bum down in the imaginary chair. So hopefully your knees are level and one knee is not sneaking ahead of the other. So try and keep them level. Try and get those thighs parallel to the ground. Strong. If the arm extension is bothering your shoulders, just bring your hands on to your shoulders. Big breaths here. Two more breaths. Stay with me. One more. And release. Oh, sweet release. Coming into your forward fold. And you can bring your feet apart just a little bit wider. And then take one arm in the other and hang out for a nice ragdoll. We just built some heat in the legs, and so now is a good time to just take some gentle movement. You always want to get a little warm first before you go into stretching. Good, and then we'll just relax our sway, come back to center. Inhale, come halfway up. Exhale, forward fold, bring the hands all the way down to the mat. Step the feet to the back of the mat. Lower onto the knees and untuck the toes. So again, nice long diagonal from shoulder to knees. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, squeeze the elbows in. Lower nice and slow, coming all the way down. Bring the forehead down. Zip the legs together. This time we're going to bring the hands back by the hips with the palms up. So preparing for locust. So on an inhale, chest, neck, and head come up. On your exhale, arms and legs also come up, coming into Superman or locust. Big breaths here. Keep that lift coming right from the lower back. Big breath. Hold it for one more breath. See if you can breathe a little higher. Exhale, bring it down. Your hands can come underneath your forehead. Bend at the knees, and then you can just gently windshield wiper the shins back and forth. Just releasing that lower back work. And then we'll set up for round two. So again, legs go long on the mat, hands back by the hips. Zip the legs together. Inhale, chest, neck, and head up. Exhale, lifting everything else up off the mat. One more breath. And exhale. Again, you can bring your hands under your head, bend at the knees, windshield wiper. Big work, these lifts, these whole body lifts. And one more time, we're going to bring the legs long, zip the toes together, forehead comes back onto the mat. Hands can be down by the hips, or if you want to try the bow variation, bend your knees, take a hold of your ankles or your feet. No obligation to even try this, but if you're curious, you can. Inhale, chest, neck, and head come up. Exhale, again, lifting everything else up off the mat. If you've got a hold of your feet, kick your feet hard into your hands. Breathing yourself up. You might be rocking on your belly a little bit. One more breath. And exhale, bring everything down to the mat. Hands come under forehead, bend at the knees, windshield wiper to release. Beautiful work. That is some serious core strengthening. I think we often think about doing crunches for our frontal abs, our solar plexus, but your abdomen, it's an abdominal girdle. It goes all the way around your body. So you need to strengthen your back as well. So hands can come under the shoulders. Inhale, pushing up to knees. Exhale, we'll bring it back to child's pose for a couple of breaths. So bring the hips back on the heels. Oops. I lost my AirPod. Hopefully people can still hear me. Forehead can come down to the mat. So just hanging out in child's pose. Taking the opportunity to slow the breath down and smooth it out. Two more breaths. And when you're feeling ready, taking your version of downward facing dog. Staying there for 2 breaths. And then slowly making your way onto your feet at the top of your mat. Beautiful. I'm just going to take a little water here. Okay. So we're going to work with a lunge today. So slightly different than Warrior 2 and not quite Warrior 1. We'll start with your feet narrow hip width apart underneath you, standing up nice and tall. Hands can come to the hips. And we're going to start by stepping the left foot to the back of the mat. We're going to put our feet on 2 separate tracks, and you can come on to the left toes and then sneak them back. Make sure that your right ankle is well ahead of your right knee, so sneak that forward. Good. We're going to square our hips toward the front of the mat. That means you probably have to put some bend in that back leg. Good. So we're going to inhale, and then on your exhale, sink into that lunge. And if you like, you can bring your arms up overhead. So coming into a high lunge here, you leave some bend in the back leg, particularly if you're feeling pull through your hip or you're feeling a little crowding in the lower back. Keep that bend in the back knee. Lunge low into the right leg. Big breaths here. One more big breath. We're going to bring the hands down to the mat on the inside of the right knee. Going to leave the back leg up. So you can sneak that left foot back so that leg is straight. Bring your left hand directly onto your left shoulder. Inhale, reach the right arm up, opening to the right side, coming into a twist. Stay for one more breath. Good. And then you can bring that hand down again. We're going to reach with the left, take a hold of the left side of the mat, and bring the left knee down, untuck the left toes. Hands can come on to the right thigh and bringing yourself upright. If you know that you like a block to come down onto, just grab your block, put it by your right instep. So getting nice and tall, sneak that right ankle forward so you have room to lunge. Inhale it tall, exhale, sinking the hips forward and down. So this is stop number 1. Pretty intense here as it is, so you can hang out right here. If you'd like to come a little deeper, bring both arms to the inside of the right knee. Come down onto your block. And again, hanging out here, deciding if maybe this is the place we want to hang out at. Maybe we want to keep going on the journey here. So you could bring your hands down to the mat. Just find a place where you can settle in. You are greeting the sensation and sitting with it, but not reacting. Just allowing yourself to be quiet. There's a saying in yoga that the pose begins when you want to leave it. Worth thinking about. But if you really, really want to leave it, then leave it. Couple more nice deep breaths. And then we can gently bring the hands back. Draw your right leg back by your left. We'll set the block off to the side. Unfold the mat. And again, take a little child's pose here. I'm going to bring my knees together and my hips are on my heels, just taking a variation here. I like to walk my hands forward so that my elbows are above my ears. I bring my palms together, sneak those elbows in, and then bring the palms to the back of my head. And I can continue sneaking my elbows forward from there and pushing my armpits in the direction of the ground. I'm just able to access a little bit of a stretch to the back of my arms. Again, just an option. You don't have to go here. Slowing my breath down, smoothing it out. And when you're ready, you can come into your version of downward facing dog. Could be kneeling or on the feet. Stay there for a couple of breaths. And then gently walk the feet to the top of the mat and come up to stand. And we will take our lunge on the other side. So again, standing nice and tall. Before we think about going anywhere, you're going to step the right foot to the back of the mat and leave it on the toes. You can sneak it back. Make sure that the left ankle is ahead of the left knee and that your feet are on two separate tracks, like you're cross-country skiing. That will give you a lot more stability. Put a gentle bend in that right leg. Square your hips to the front. So if you feel like your hips are kind of diagonal here, square your hips to the front of the mat and sink forward into your lunge, keeping a gentle bend in the back leg. Inhale, arms can come up overhead, just an option. Sinking into that front leg, breathing big. One more breath. And then we can bring our hands to the inside of the right knee. We're going to bring the right hand directly underneath the right shoulder. Inhale the left hand up and twisting toward the left. One more breath. Exhale, bring that hand down. We can take a hold of the mat with the right hand, bend it over. Give yourself some cushioning before you bring the right knee down. Untuck the toes. Grab your block if you're going to use that. Bring your hands onto your left thigh and then get tall. So we'll make sure that we have room to lunge by moving that left ankle forward. Inhaling tall. Exhaling, sinking the hips forward and down. So this is stop number 1 on the wizard train. Letting gravity do the work for us here. Stop number 2, if you desire to continue on, hands come to the block. And step number 3, if you so desire, hands come down to the mat. Slowing those breaths down. Two more breaths. And again, bring your hands onto the block. Draw your left leg back by your right. Set your block off to the side. Organize your mat. And then again, you set up for the child's pose of your choice. So it could be with knees wide, with knees together, whatever you like. Just take an opportunity to take a little bit of a rest here. You could walk your fingertips over to the left while consciously stretching the left hip back. The arm and the hip are moving in opposite direction. Get long through the side body. And then we can bring the fingertips through center, walking them over to the left. So drawing the right hip down in the opposite direction, stretching long through the right arm. Again, getting a little side body opening here. And bring hands back through center. Stay for a breath. And again, when you're ready, your version of downward facing dog on the knees or on the feet. Take 2 more breaths. And again, walking your feet toward your hands, coming to the top of the mat. And we'll turn sideways. We're going to take a wide-legged forward fold. So we'll just start at center, getting nice and tall. Hands can come to the hips. We're going to walk the feet out. I sort of like to heel toe them out. And finding that place where it's a challenge. You've got your legs wide and yet you're very stable here. The outsides of your feet are solidly pushing into your mat and you're ready to fold. So you could just do this the way we usually do it, just by hinging in the hips. If you wanted to add on a little shoulder stretch, take your hands behind you and interlace your fingers. So you're doing this, you're interlacing the fingers and your hands are resting basically on your bum. Pull the shoulders back. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, hinge at the hips, coming into your forward fold, leaving a gentle bend in the knees. And then if you'd like to, you could experiment with lifting your hands off your back and bringing them overhead. You don't have to do this, it's just an option. Your hands could be down on a block or holding onto your shins. Wherever you are, taking deep, slow breaths. Again, greeting the sensation and just sitting with it or standing with it as it would be. On your next inhale, you can release your arms if you had them back. Come halfway up. Exhale, forward fold again. We'll bring the fingertips down to the mat if they weren't already there. And you can walk your fingertips toward your right foot and just stretching over to the right a little bit. And then walk the fingertips through center and coming over toward the left foot. And then you can walk your fingertips back to center and slowly roll up to stand. We're going to bring our feet in just a little bit, coming to goddess. So not quite so far apart. Toes are out on a 45-degree angle. You're standing nice and tall. Arms come out, bend at the elbow, palms face your head. Inhale, think about being as tall as you can be. Exhale, gently sink the hips down, slow, coming into our goddess, and we're going to breathe into it. Big fiery pose here, so deep breath. You can sigh it out if it gets hot. 2 more breaths. 1 more. Exhale, you can fold forward, turn your feet forward, hang out here for a second. Whew, that was a lot of work. Maybe a big exhale here. Sigh it out. And then we're gonna roll up to stand and we'll get ready to take tree. So if you know you wanna move near some furniture or a wall, you can go ahead and do that. So once you're in your favorite place to do tree, feet are now hip width apart, standing nice and tall. Hands can come to your hips. Fix your gaze on that point, some point ahead of you. Just something that you can zone out on, fixing your drishti, your gaze. Once that has happened, you can bring your weight onto your left foot. Inhale the right leg up. exhale it to the side, and then plant that leg. So you could bring it up to the thigh, to the shin, keep a toe down near the ankle, whatever works for you. And then bring the hands to heart center. Make sure to keep your bum squeezed in and your solar plexus is engaged, like you're expecting someone to sucker punch you, but no one's going to do that because this is yoga, not Fight Club. Keep that bum squeezed. And you could experiment with growing your tree on this side. Keeping that gaze fixed, not worrying about swaying or shaking or falling. Just get back in again. Hands can gently come to heart center. And then bring them on through to the hips. Inhale your free leg out straight in front of you. Inhale it up for a breath. And then exhale, lower it with control. Beautiful. You can shake out your standing leg and we'll set up for the other side. So again, not going anywhere until we have fixed the gaze. And transfer your weight onto the right foot. Inhale the left leg up. Exhale the knee to the side. So again, your choice could be thigh, shin, ankle, toes down, whatever you prefer. Hands come to heart, bum is squeezed, abdomen is engaged, gaze is resting. And on this side, see what your tree is doing on this side. Not worrying if it looks remotely like the first side. And hands can come back to heart center. Bring them down to the hips. We're going to breathe that free leg forward. Keep it up for one more breath. And then exhale it down with control. Beautiful. Shake out the standing leg and we'll get ready to come into squat. So if you want to come down ahead of time onto a block or onto the floor, go ahead and make your way down now. If you're coming from standing, feet are wider than hip width apart. Toes are out on a 45-degree angle. Hands come to heart center. Inhaling ourselves tall and exhale, slowly, slowly, slowly coming down. If you're already down, you can be bringing the backs of your arms to the insides of the knees and gently encouraging the hips to open. If you came down from standing, you might want to shuffle around a little bit once you're down to find that comfortable place in your hips. Not encouraging the opening, breathing into it, sitting with the sensation, reminding yourself, try not to curl into yourself like this, but stand tall. You may even want to gaze upward. Imagining that you have lungs in your hips and you could send the breath right there. Finding a place of stillness. Stay with me for 2 more breaths. And when you've completed that second breath, you can bring yourself all the way down onto the mat. We'll keep the knees wider than hip width apart, but set the feet a little further forward. You can bring your arms one on the other and then roll up onto the hip, coming through center. I'm just rolling back and forth a few times here, releasing that big hip stretch. Good, and then we'll come back to center, bringing the knees together and making a nice sort of tent shape with your legs. So sitting tall and encouraging your chest, your torso toward the thighs. Arms can come underneath the legs and your head and neck can relax forward, coming into a nice restorative forward fold. Everybody can just hang out here for a few breaths. And then you can stay exactly as you are, or if you wish, you could extend the legs long, engage the toes, peeling the toes back toward you, and continue folding. Just an option, not obligatory. Just allowing yourself to be soft here. Enjoy the sensation of folding forward, feeling some activation in the hamstrings. And you can gently roll up to sit. We'll plant our feet if we had unplanted them and allow the knees to come out to the sides, making a large diamond shape here. Again, sitting tall. Exhale, thinking about going out rather than curling down. So think about going out and then forward. So coming into this nice butterfly, feeling some sensation through the outsides of the hips. Again, not pushing into it, but just allowing yourself to relax. Once you've come as far forward as you're going to come, relax the head and neck. And you can come back upright. We'll bring the legs out into a V. So it could be, kind of like that. Maybe you can work them out a little wider. Actively peel your toes back toward you, hands in between the legs. Again, think about going up and forward. So you're not curling into this, but you're staying straight, coming forward. Again, just finding that place where we start to feel engagement. Maybe you can come onto the forearms. Keep those toes actively peeling back. If you like, you could take a hold of the feet. Now you can walk your hands back in. Bring the legs together. And if you are sideways on your mat, bring yourself lengthwise on your mat again. Take a hold of your shins. Inhale the belly forward, looking up, taking an opportunity here to try out a little baby back bend. And then on your exhale, you can release, letting go of the shins and gently lowering yourself back with control. So trying not to fall back, holding it, and then finally coming all the way back onto your back. We're just going to grab the block and have it ready by your hips. We're going to do a few rounds of bridge here. So feet are planted below the hips, hands are down by the hips, and head is looking straight up. Inhale to prepare. On an exhale, push your hips up off the mat toward the ceiling. Powerful feet, backs of the arms are really energetically pressing down. With each exhale, see if you can lift those hips a little higher. Big, powerful breath here. Squeeze the bum. Get those hips ever so slightly higher. And exhale, you can bring the hips down to the mat. Whew, good work. Windshield wiper the knees back and forth. So we'll go for round 2. Again, feet are planted, hands by the hips. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, push the hips up skyward. Backs of the arms and the feet are actively pressing down. Excuse me. If you want to try a variation, you could roll your shoulders under and clasp your hands behind your back. And that can help you get your hips a little higher. Just an option. You do not have to go there. No matter what you do, just keep pushing those hips higher with each exhale. One more breath. And you can release if your hands are bound, unbind them, bring the hips down to the mat. And again, windshield wipering, letting that extension go. And then we'll set up for our last bridge. We'll make this one a restorative one. So hands down by the hips. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, push the hips skyward. Take your block and put it sort of above the top of your bum, but below your middle back. So right in that flat area at the small of your back, gently lowering down onto the block. If you need to adjust it, do that until you find the perfect placement for you. And then you can relax into this restorative version of bridge. So just enjoy the feeling of this back extension. Your feet can remain planted. If you wanted to see what it feels like to go a little bit deeper, you can sneak your feet out. Some people really love this and just want to stretch right out. Could even experiment with bringing the arms overhead. Get a really nice big extension, but of course, none of this is obligatory. You take what you can use and leave the rest. Keep that breath moving. Slow it down. If you find your mind wandering, just gently bring it back to your breath. If you are extended out, you can bring your feet back under you and your arms down. Just finding our normal restorative bridge for a few more breaths. On your next exhale, push your hips up toward the ceiling. You can remove your block, set it off to the side, bring your hips down to the ground, and windshield wiper the knees back and forth. We're going to set up for reclining pigeon. So if that's something that you know that isn't really your thing, you could go for wind relieving pose instead. So you extend the left leg long while you hug the right knee in. But if you'd like to come to pigeon, cross the right ankle just below the left knee. You can use your block here. You could bring the block to the inside of the right knee and just place your hand against the block to encourage the right knee out. So that's stop number one. Make sure that you keep those toes actively peeling back. If you know you want to come a little deeper into pigeon, you can draw your left thigh toward you. Relax the lower left leg. Just make sure that that right foot, those right toes stay really engaged. So your choice. You could be doing wind relieving, you could be doing a very gentle pigeon, or you could be coming into this nice full reclining pigeon. Like I said, take what you need, leave the rest. Nice slow breaths here. Last breath. And you can release your foot down. Uncross the legs if you had them crossed. If you're doing wind relieving, set up to the opposite side. So left knee hugging toward the left armpit, right leg stretched long. Otherwise, right foot is planted. Left ankle crosses just below the right knee. So stop number one could be using the block on the inside of the left knee and just using the hand to gently encourage that hip opening. Or you can take a hold with a strap or your hands behind the right thigh, drawing that right thigh in toward your torso. Just make sure you keep those left toes really actively peeling back to protect your left knee. The lower right leg can totally relax. Find what you need and then just come into stillness, focusing on the breath, allowing yourself to sit with the sensation. 2 more breaths. And you can release the version of the pose you have. So bringing the feet down to the mat, windshield wiper a couple of times just to release that. And then we'll set up for a reclining twist. So if you're going to use a block, bring it over by your left hip. We'll cross the right leg over the left with no gap between the thighs. Pick up the hips and set them off just so slightly to the right. Arms can come out into a T and relax your legs over to the left. You can grab your block and put it near your hip or under the thigh so that your legs can totally relax. Just make sure that that right shoulder stays tacked down to the mat. If the right shoulder is rolling up, come out of your twist a little bit, bring that block in closer to your hip. What I want, your goal is to be able to relax completely. So you're not holding anything up. You're just allowing yourself to melt into the twist. So once you come down, you can keep your gaze toward the ceiling, or you could experiment with looking over the right shoulder, as long as that right shoulder is really firmly against the mat. Just find a place where you can just get totally soft, let gravity smoosh you down into the mat. Three more breaths. And you could bring your head back to center, gently bringing the knees back upright, straightening the hips, and then we'll bring the block over by the right hip. Again, arms in a T, cross the left leg over the right, no gap between the thighs. Pick up your hips, gently set them off ever so slightly to the left, and then relax your legs over to the right. You may have to adjust the block. Make sure that that left shoulder is in firm contact with the mat. If it's rolling up, that means you need to untwist a little bit. So find a place where your legs can totally relax onto that block. And then again, just allow yourself to be passive and let gravity do the work here. You could experiment with looking over the left shoulder. It's an invitation, but not an obligation. Wherever you are, just let yourself be soft. With each exhale, you can melt a little more into your mat. Two more breaths. And gently bring your head back upright if it was anywhere else. Knees come back upright. Uncross the legs, straighten the hips. We'll take some last gentle movements. So you could draw your knees toward your armpits and just give yourself a hug. If you like, you could bring your arms on the insides of your legs and take a hold of either your instep or your outstep, drawing the feet up toward the ceiling, coming into stirrup or happy baby. If that's where you're going, you can roll around, give yourself a little back massage. If you'd like to extend the legs or even come up into a gentle shoulder stand, if that's part of your practice, you could go ahead and do that. If you are taking shoulder stand, make sure that you're keeping the majority of the weight on your shoulders and the backs of your arms. If there's too much weight on your neck, then move that weight back or just come out of it. It's a tricky little posture. We want to make sure that we're keeping the weight on the backs of the arms. If that's not for you, not part of your practice, totally don't sweat it. Just an option for those who enjoy it. So taking any last movements that you would enjoy for your practice. And then you can grab anything you need to make yourself comfortable in Shavasana. So maybe that's some water, a blanket, a pillow, or a rolled blanket under the knees. Set yourself up so that you're nice and comfortable. As you come down onto your back, take a few of those nice big breaths just like we did at the beginning of class. So deeply inhaling, filling the lungs from the bottom, slowly, 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 filling them as full as they can go. Hold for a moment, exhale, sigh it out. And as you sigh it out, feel all of the effort and intention from your practice leave your body. It served its purpose and now we can let it go. So again, a nice big inhale, filling all the way to the top, holding for just a moment, exhale, let it go. One last time, big inhale, holding and releasing the practice. You are done. You have put in all of the efforts and intention, strength, balance, energy. You've put it all into your practice, and now you can release it all. Allow yourself to become soft and passive, hopefully feeling warm and relaxed. Allow your body to succumb to a heavy feeling of just complete softness. Feel your face passive. Separate the biting surfaces of your teeth. You can soften your gaze or close your eyes. Feel your brow relax. A gentle weight of your head on the mat. Allow yourself to slip into a deep state of relaxation, knowing that I'll be here to let you know when it's time to go. You can begin to bring your awareness back to where you are in space and time. Take a few deep breaths. And you can invite some gentle movement into your body, wiggling fingers and toes, maybe doing some wrist and ankle circles, perhaps taking a nice big stretch. And when you're feeling ready, gently roll over onto your right side. And pause there for a couple of breaths before bringing yourself up to a comfortable seated position. And once you come up to sit, make yourself nice and tall. Hands can come to heart center. Take an inhale and lower your chin. It is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye. And that's from Le Petit Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. Thank you for joining me for class today. Namaste.